obviously, punters, we're privileged to have Mickey join us, and why not take the chance, as DK said, to talk about a bit of
why not? Yeah, Mickey's one of the great minds of footy. So, warming up into weather. First, Mick, what's your opinion on the bye a week before your finals? Are you?
No, I don't like it.
Don't like it?
I understand that it gives every participating team a chance to get healthy, and I think there's an argument to say at this time of year we want all the best players available to come and strut their stuff at the pointy end of the season. But that aside, the counter argument to that is, what's the point of finishing top 4? You earn the right to finish top. You should be given some sort of chance to actually win your first final and not have, in the current state, probably 3 weeks having one game. That to me is detrimental to the concept of finishing top, or second or third or fourth. So that's the challenge I think the AFL have got to get right going forward. I don't think it'll last forever, this format, and I think there's a lot of argument. I know Alistair Clarkson's been another person that's come out vocally and publicly said that they don't like it, and he's probably talking from his own experience. He's not a part of the landscape this year, but previous years Hawthorn have been, because they've always been.
Some teams, as Potts we sat down with Crawford and we chat about this, the bye. Remember the mid-season bye? Yeah. And the psychological play that the players have, the week off, and the different ways the team's trying to get them up, and some teams are horrible off the bye, some teams are are good off the bye, and then go down. So they've got to deal with that as well. I don't think they like that. They just would rather have it.
Cross seems to be saying that they're all down off the bye, but some of them are completely cast, and some of them can get up, can just get.
Yeah, and they give the players 4 days off, so they go and rain again, and then they've got to go back up and training again, and it's all.
And this is where the Players Association have a fair bit of clout. As a collective, they wanted that originally, but I've always felt AFL footy's a war of attrition. Who can come up physically, who can come up mentally.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you need a break? I was one to keep the routine going. I'm very strong on that. Others have got different views. I suppose when you're older, you probably need that week off, but that doesn't mean you have to play.
Fewer distractions the better, Mick?
Sorry?
Fewer distractions the better?
Yeah, I think so.
So having a dog in at Geelong on the Friday night's not ideal?
Well, financially it was. There's no doubt about that. But it's just amazing. Like, we were playing grand final day too, like Collingwood and Essendon in 1990, and God bless his heart, I was living with a guy called Billy Golly, who was a massive trot hunter down here at the time, and he had 2 horses from New Zealand in with Teddy Demler. We got the quaddie that night. Hot pie cashes in because someone lagged me down at the Bentley Toad. Took a 20,000 out of the quaddie. It was in the Sunday press on the Sunday. Like, I stuck to routine. I was like, as much as other people say, well, what is the right routine? If I wanted to go to Geelong Dogs on a Friday night, I'd go. If I wanted to go to Moonee Valley Trots on a Friday night, if it was that before a grand final, I would. But everyone's different. And I was always built on just keeping it low key, pretty relaxed, do what I normally did. Sometimes you'd walk into a game, you might have done $1,000, $2,000, but that never changed the way I played. I'd be pretty strong in banking it and try to just do your best for the team. But I'm not one for the bye. I just think it upsets your routine. And
it did help the doggies last year, I would have thought, wouldn't it?
Well, it did.
Because they had all those players.
Well, Lee Matthews used to say to us, DK, irrespective of where you finished, when you're playing finals footy, all you have to be is the best for a month. We were the best for a month in 1990. There's an argument to say that we might not have been the best team. But what really stood out for us was we were the best for a month, and the Bulldogs are a great example of that. And this is why it's a great challenge for this week. You know, I've been on GWS all year, and I spoke to Potts about that. I'm concerned about their forward structure, really intrigued to see what they'll do. Can they survive with Lobb, Patton, Cameron, Stevie J, and even to a lesser degree Devon Smith? Their forward 50 pressure is not there where other clubs are at, particularly Richmond. You need heat in your front half to turn the ball over. Centre half turnovers is such an impressive part of today's game. If they don't provide that, they'll get scored against, because the counter-attack through that, what we call counter-attack region, 50, 60, 70 metres from the opposition goal, is what Adelaide's fantastic at. And if they get the game on their terms, they'll supply the likes of Jenkins, Walker, Betts, Lynch. These guys will kick a score.
So I'm intrigued by the Tigers, mate. We're always laughing at, they've been all our mates who barrack for the Tigers, but it seems like they're, especially with Dusty and everything all done, and they're some sort of contenders.
Oh, they are. They've. I remember doing a show with Potts at All Nations and spoke about how I didn't have them in the top 8 at the start of the year. I was clearly wrong, and full credit to their coaching staff, but also the playing personnel. They made a direct alignment to the modern game. Over the last couple of years, you see forward 50 pressure as a huge indicator. Time in front half is very important to have. Yep. They've addressed their forward line. Some would say no Griffiths, no Ty Vickery to lean on. Say Jack Rewalt would have been a loss, but it hasn't. It's been an advantage. They've brought healthier young kids with speed around the drop of the ball. It's kept the ball in, kept heat on the opposition when they've won it, and that forces turnover and pressure on the way out. So full credit to Damien Hardwick. I reckon he's been outstanding, and there's an argument he's probably coach of the year. Yeah, I always believe the side that finishes on top logically should get it.
But what he's turned around there, and that,
absolutely.
And I think that's
he was nearly sacked 12 months ago.
And that's probably played, and that's probably helped Bucks. But that's happened there.
Yeah,
I can say, well, Bucks can probably do something similar to Pies, you know.
Yeah, and that's a great alignment because I've been strong in Buckley's corner all year. In the view that I think I've seen a real significant change in brand, and the brand of contested ball, clearance work, even possessions won, they're in the top 3, 4 or 5 in those areas. What the real concern with Collingwood right now is their efficiency going into forward 50. They're doing the grunt work well. Yep. When Wells is in that team, he's played 10 times, they've won 7 and drawn 1. They need that creativity to complement side bottom and also Pendlebury. And as we know, you can have your Adams, your Treloar, your Greenwood, your Crisp, these types of guys that got their head over the footy and they're really hard nuts. But they just lack the finishing quality that a Daniel Wells has or a Scott Pendlebury has.
Shame he's got those bloody bad, well, soft tissue in his.
Yeah, it is. He's a star. Yeah. He's a legitimate football star. And I love watching him play in full flight. There's none better. And we've seen a couple of examples of that. But if I was at Collingwood right now, the first thing I'd be saying to him, you've got a contract to uphold, because in every AFL contract, you've got to come down in good condition. Otherwise, it's a breach of contract. And if you don't come back ready to go the first night we're training or first day we're back at pre-season, you're telling us you're not really committed to the club. You're either in or you're out. There's no such thing as being half pregnant, and I think he's got to identify that because the weight of expectations on him alone, he can carry Collingwood a long way.
And back to the other, mate, because the finals, we'll probably quick note on the others, Crows and Geelong and teams like that are right up there.
That's a big game, Crows and GWS to kick-start at Thursday night, and Geelong versus Richmond on the Friday night. That's going to be huge. I'd probably favour Adelaide at home on the back of their demolition job of GWS early in the year, and I know it's been a long time ago. The Geelong-Richmond one at the MCG slightly favours Richmond for me. I thought they were brilliant against Geelong a few weeks back down at Geelong, that just failed. I can't wait for the Sydney contest against Essendon. It's the grunt, the contested ball-winning machine they are, led by Josh Kennedy against the outside run of what Essendon gives, the run and carry type, the run and gun we call it.
Have the Swans got the sort of, because they're in that bottom half of the draw, have they got the same opportunity that the Bulldogs had last year where they can, if they get over Essendon, of course, they can play each week and...
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, I don't care about that sort of stuff.
It's just day by day. And the biggest issue I've got for them, I think the last 10 times they've played at the MCG, they've only won 2 games.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's just the outside spread, but haven't got a Hawthorn who's one of their nemesis teams, because it's a form of defence is offence, and Hawthorn, as soon as they get to 100 or more uncontested marks against Sydney, they're starving them of their brand. Yeah. And it's a form of defence. Own the footy, spread the ground, get chalk on your feet, lengthen the ground to make sure we're using every bit of space that we can to force the Swans to defend. That's when you can exploit them. And this is why this matchup's so intriguing, because Essendon will play similar to what a Hawthorn will, but what they will do more than what Hawthorn did is try to attack the corridor, and if you can get it in at speed with Danaher and the form he's in, he can do the difference. And the last game's a beauty too. West Coast on the road against Port Adelaide, that'll hold no favour for them. No concerns for them at all. They love the Adelaide ground, the West Coast Eagles boys. They play it well. They match up really well against Port Adelaide. They've limped into a final series at the expense of Melbourne. There was a lot of heartburn there. But Melbourne are a team that I rated. I thought they'd be a part of top 8, but they've only got themselves to blame. You going into a game that you must win, if you only exhibit 4 tackles in 20 minutes when the game's at its hottest, it tells me you weren't mentally switched on for the game of footy. And for supporters and members alike, they would have expected more.
Sticking with GWS, that's your premiership tip now, Mick?
If they get over Adelaide, I think they're morals.
Right. Oh, okay.
If they get over Adelaide, but I don't think they will. So it's going to be a rough change.
They're going to have to do it from playing each week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What sort of the draw? So if they lose, which side of the?
I haven't looked at the crossover sort of the draw yet. So I just sort of take this year, this time of year, 1 week at a time, as most footballers do. But in saying that, I just think if GWS do happen to get over the Adelaide Crows this week, and I think they're a little bit vulnerable as well, but in saying that they're a much better team at home. I'm not convinced they're an MCG side yet at this moment in time. Collingwood smashed them in that first half, 50 points in front. To their credit, they wheeled it back, but it was on the back of Collingwood's mistakes rather than the good play that Adelaide showed.
And it's great. They go, first week of the finals, and all 4 games feel like they're alive.
Oh.
They're real contests, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and this is what the pointy end of the season's all about: the best versus the best.
Yeah.
This is why I was always an advocate for state of origin footy, and I miss it dearly to represent your state, but also to give young kids a chance to play against and with the best.
Yeah.
There's nothing better in footy to rub shoulders with Gary Ablett Senior or a Tony Lockett or a Jason Dunstall.
Amazing those forward lines in those games.
It was just amazing. Yeah, but to, the midfield group, you get Simon Madden saying, well, this is my signal, left hand, left hip, right hand, right hip, both there, we're hitting it forward. The chemistry that's required in those games is so easy to implement because the talent's there.
Mm. And anything in the Brownlow, mate, is a one-horse race, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dusty.
Moral.
Yeah, Moral.
Yeah.
Him and Dangerfield would be really intriguing to see the battle of the votes. But as we know, one's suspended and can't win it.
Yeah.
The argument then is, do we need to get rid of the fairest? Is it just the best? I believe in the best and fairest.
Right.
I think you need both components to it to maintain tradition. I think the unique part of our game is we don't deviate from tradition as much as what other probably codes do. And I'd like to see it the best player, but also the fairest player. If he gets suspended, bad luck.
Yeah. All right. Good.
All right, final word. Are you going to have a tip in the AFL? Who do you think?
Look, for all our mates or Tigers supporters, I'd love to see the Tigers go as far as they can. That'd just be a great story.
It would.
But I'm not involved.
Melbourne Grand Final week if the Tigers are
in it. It'd be for the Rat and for everyone. It would just be sensational. So I'd love to see the Tigers go as far as they can.
It'd be great for footy. Imagine if it was an Essendon and Richmond final, if it happened to be that way. Like, for somehow,
it's good to see the Bombers back.
The crossover.
The Bombers, it's good to see them there as well.
That itself's a good story based on what they went through.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to lose a lot of players to the stuff up.
Yeah.
And Joe Watson's one we've already lost a candidate on the back of the mental distraction and strain. He was exhausted post 2015. But to his credit, he's come back well, and it's a great opportunity to send him off the right way.
Good stuff. Now, big shout out to a good man, a long-term customer of mine, Michael Thomas, whose horse Happy Clapper.
Just chocolates.
First up, he's run weight. It's his best first up performance of his career as a 7-year-old. He's run comparable sectionals to Winx over the last 400. He's just got a beautiful platform to
MT.
To peak third up in the Epsom, so all the best to MT and the team there. And
He's
a beauty.
He's a beauty, isn't he?
He just needs
big trackles.
He needs good ground.
Yeah.
He doesn't stretch out on shifty stuff properly. But
is Winx going as good as what she was? Yeah, that's a debate.
Yeah, she's matched her second up. Even though she's matched her second up ratings, but she's probably been tested a little bit more. But
Chris Waller would be just delighted. I mean, he loves early in their preps having those building type runs where you go quicker late than you do in the early in the mid. You're building throughout the race, and she's hit the line full of running at both starts.
She was 10.8 last furlong, wasn't she, on the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's same. Yeah.
I love the rider Jay Park.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
He made the race exciting, but he gave his horse.
That's what happens when these blokes align. He's aligned with Johnny Walder.
Yeah.
The gun aligned with Nathan Snow. They look at these races. They come up with a plan. The sketty spirit was get out and go. Get out and go. You're 100 to 1 chance. You've got nothing to lose. So I'd say Johnny Walder and him have come up with that. Let's give this a test. Let's get 6 in front and see if she can run us down. Second up.
Well, if it's a plan, thumbs up. But even if it's just the case that he's on the horse and the horse is feeling, because that's career best for Red Excitement.
Yeah.
It's feeling good, and he's just gone with it, let it run.
That's right. If you have done that.
I've talked ad nauseum about letting horses run naturally, and there's a great example of what can be achieved.
Yep.
So well done to Josh. Yeah, good stuff.
All right.
Thanks, Thomas. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and we'll be back again next week.
Good on you, boys.
Thanks.